Hello students, I am Dr. Savitha, Associate Professor, Department of Chemistry, Varani Science College for Women. Today I will discuss on the General Chemistry for second semester Chemistry DSC 2A. Under the General Chemistry, in this video we are going to discuss on the chapter soaps, detergents and waxes. Under the soaps chapter, in this video, the session 1, we are going to discuss on the definition and the types of soaps. Before going for understanding what is a soap, let us look what are lipids. The lipids are the important constituent of the diet because of their high energy value and also because they are included in the fat soluble vitamin and essential fatty acid that are present in our natural foodstuff. In the body, the fats serve as an efficient source of energy which is stored in the adipose tissue. They also serve as an insulating material in the subcutaneous tissues and around certain organs. Fat with combination with one more biomolecule, the proteins, where we call them to be the lipoprotein, they are the important constituent of the cell membrane and also the energy source, that is the mitochondria. Now let us define what are lipids. The lipids are a heterogeneous group of compounds which are related to fatty acids, and they include fats, oils, waxes and other related substances. These lipids are oily or greasy organic substances which are insoluble in water and soluble in organic solvent like ether, chloroform, benzene, and hence these lipids are hydrophobic in nature. These lipids are generally called as lipoids or the lipins. So, the lipids are the building blocks of the fat in our body and in the food we eat. During the digestion of this lipid, the body breaks the lipids into fatty acid and these are absorbed in the blood, and the main representatives of the lipids can be considered under two headings. One is triglyceride and other is the cholesterol steroids. Under the triglyceride, if they are solid, generally we consider them to be fat, and when they are liquid, we consider them to be the oils. So, the major representation of the lipids or the triglyceride, which constitute about 90% of the lipid and the cholesterol. Now coming to the fats and fatty acid. This fats and fatty acid, we consider them to be long chain organic acid where we have the functional group C double bond O OH, and apart from that they contain a long hydrocarbon chain, and the length of the hydrocarbon chain vary from 4 to 30 carbon atom. So here they have a carboxylic group attached to a long chain hydrocarbon chain, and this carboxylic group is hydrophilic in nature, whereas the hydrocarbon which we consider that to be as a type is hydrophobic, and this hydrocarbon chain makes the fats to be oily or greasy. Fatty acids do not occur freely. They are in an uncombined form. Generally, they are bonded to a glycerol moiety, which we'll be learning a bit later. So, fatty acids can be a saturated when we don't have any unsaturation. then we call them to be saturated fatty acid. And if they have a double bond, we consider them to be unsaturated fatty acid. And the saturated fatty acid can be a palmitic acid. So under the unsaturated fatty acid, we can have a single double bond when we call them to be monounsaturated fatty acid. For example, oleic acid, which have only one double bond, and when they contain more than one double bond, we consider them to be polyunsaturated fatty acid. And this polyunsaturated fatty acid can be further divided into omega 3 fatty acid and omega 6 fatty acid. When we take the sources, generally for fatty acid, they are available in animal fats, butter, and when we consider the monounsaturated fatty acid, they are present in olive oil, avocado, peanuts, almond, etc. And when we take a polyunsaturated acid, for example, linoleic and linolenic acid, where linolenic acid have two double bond, linolenic acid we have three double bond, and this unsaturated or polyunsaturated fatty acid can be a omega 3 fatty acid or omega 6 fatty acid, and the sources are icosapentonic acid, fish, shellfish, and when we take omega 6 fatty acid, the examples are corn oil, safflower oil, and sunflower oil, etc. So this is a small introduction. What are the fatty acids? Now coming to the major component of the lipid, where I have explained it occurs 90% of the lipid are in the form of triglyceride. So when I take the nature of a triglyceride, it is made up of two parts. One part we call to be the glycerol backbone. It is nothing but a glycerol, which is a trihydric alcohol having three carbon atoms with three hydroxyl group. So glycerol is 1, 2, 3 tripropanol, and this is in turn joined with three fatty acid, and the bond here we call it to be the ester bond. So the ester bond generally is formed between a carboxylic acid and an alcoholic group. So when a carboxylic acid reacts with an alcohol, there is a elimination of one molecule of water, and the bond between C double bond O and the oxygen of an alcohol is called as an ester bond, and this reaction is called as esterification. So a triglyceride is a molecule which have a glycerol with three ester bonds with three fatty acids. So a glyceride or a triglyceride is nothing but a glycerol plus three fatty acid and three ester bond results in the formation of a triglyceride. And here the fatty acids that are attached to a glycerol may be same or may not be the same. They can be a saturated or an unsaturated. And hence a glyceride, a molecule made up of a glycerol with an ester linkage with a fatty acid, and the process is called as esterification. As already explained, a glycerol is a trihydric alcohol with three hydroxyl group, while a fatty acid is the one which have a carboxylic group attached to a long chain hydrocarbon. So, a fatty acid is defined as a carboxylic acid with a long aliphatic chain. And as already said, here the aliphatic chain may be a saturated without any double bond or unsaturated with the presence of the double bond. And unsaturation we can have one, two, three, or four double bonds. And most of the naturally occurring fatty acid have an unbranched chain and the number of carbon atoms vary from 4 to 28. So whenever the fatty acid esterified with the alcohol, the glycerol, here we get the component which we call to be a triglyceride. Now coming to the exactly the soaps which we have to discuss in this video session. So whenever we talk about the soap, it is always we use the term detergent. Detergent is a Latin verb which means to wipe or clean the things. So any cleansing agent or an agent which is used to remove dirt, grease or for washing purpose, we call them to be a detergent. And this broad definition includes the soaps and detergent. These soaps are obtained by a process called saponification of oils and fats, and these detergents are the synthetic compound, and they are we call also them for the synthetic. In general, soaps and detergents are used for washing, and this washing can be for removing dirt or clean the hand or washing the clothes or the cleaning the utensils. So a soap is a salt of a fatty acid which is used in variety of cleaning process. Apart from cleaning, we also use the soaps in industries as a lubricant product. In domestic, these soaps are generally used for washing, bathing, and other type of housekeeping. However, when we take the industrial application, these soaps are used as a thickeners, components of some lubricant, and also a precursor for certain catalysts. Now, let us define the soaps chemically. So soaps are the sodium or potassium salts of higher fatty acid which contain 12 to 18 carbon atoms, and the fatty acid can be stearic, palmitic, chloric, mystic and oleic acid. These are all the examples of the fatty acid. So a soap is a salt of sodium or a potassium salt with a long hydrocarbon chain, and this chain can have a length of 12 to 18. And when we consider the soap molecule, this soap molecule have a long hydrocarbon chain, and this hydrocarbon chain is made up of carbon and hydrogen, and here we have a carboxylic group at one end, and here the carboxylic group is bonded to a metal ion, and this metal can be a sodium or a potassium, and hence we call the soap to be sodium or the potassium salts of higher fatty acids. So this is the representation of a soap where we have a long hydrocarbon chain, and here we have a carboxylic group where the oxygen OH of COH, the hydrogen is replaced by a Na plus HRK plus, and hence we call them to be salts of higher fatty acids. And this is the structure of a soap molecule where the soap has a long hydrocarbon chain and a hydrophilic group. So, as already discussed, the carboxylic group, the hydrogen is replaced by a base, that is sodium or the potassium. And here the long hydrocarbon chain is non-polar, and hence this here we consider to be the hydrophobic in nature, whereas the carboxylic group along with the positive ion is an hydrophilic, and we consider them to be polar. So this hydrophilic group is soluble in water, whereas the long non-polar end is not soluble in water, but it is soluble in oil, and hence a soap have a hydrophobic on one side and a hydrophilic on the other hand. And as the definition, it has a hydrophobic hydrocarbon chain with a hydrophilic COO minus in a plus. And coming to the uses of this soap, these soaps act as a surfactants, and they are used for washing, bathing and other type of housekeeping, and in industrial they have been used as surface active agents, the thickeners, and sometimes as the lubricants. A few examples of the soap. So, whenever we have a stearic acid, we call it to be sodium stearate, and stearic acid is the C15 hydrocarbon chain. When we have a palmitic acid, we call it to be sodium palmitate. And when we have a oleate acid, which is an unsaturated, we call it to be the sodium oleate. So these are a few examples for the soaps. And these soaps have been formed by a process called saponification. So, saponification is a process we take a glyceride, and as we have already explained what is a triglyceride, a glycerol moiety with an ester bond with the fatty acid. When a fat or oil, fat is a solid, oils are liquid at room temperature, but chemically they are triglyceride, or we can also call them to be glyceride tripalmitate. When they are heated with an alkali, it can be a sodium hydroxide or the potassium hydroxide. It results in the formation of a crude soap, which is a sodium salt of the respective fatty acid. Here we have the triglyceride made up of palmitic acid, and hence we get the soap to be sodium palmitate. Apart from that, we also get a byproduct, that is the glycerol, and this process is known as saponification. Saponification is a process when a triglyceride is heated with an alkali, results in the formation of the glycerol and the sodium salt of the acid, I mean the fatty acid, which we call them to be the soaps. And we have different types of soaps, and this classification of the soaps can be classified based on the chemical nature or the type of the alkali taken, and also on the type of the usage. Generally, when we have a higher percentage of saturated fatty acid, we consider them to be the hard soap, and which contain higher percentage of unsaturated fatty acid, we call them to be soft soap. So, Saturated fatty acid results in the hard soap, and unsaturated fatty acids we consider them to be soft. Apart from that, during the process of saponification, as explained earlier, either NaOH can be taken or KOH can be taken. When we use the sodium hydroxide, we get sodium salts of long chain fatty acid, and this sodium salts of long chain fatty acid we call them to be hard soap. Generally, the hard soaps are prepared for washing purposes, and here they have hard constituency, and apart from that they also contain some amount of alkali, and hence these hard soaps are used as toilet soaps or washing soaps. Coming to the next, that is the soft soap. Instead of NaOH, if we use the KOH, we get the potassium salts of long chain fatty acid, and this long chain fatty acids of potassium salt are called as soft soap. So soft soaps are prepared from good oils and potassium hydroxide, and this does not contain the alkali, and when we take the lather is more with the soft soap, and it is used as toilet soap which can be used in creams, shampoos, etc. So basically a hard and soft, here we are looking into the type of the alkali employed. When NaOH is used, results in the formation of an hard. When KOH is used, results in the formation of a soft soap. Depending upon the nature, hard soaps are used for the washing, whereas the soft soaps are generally used for the either in the shaving creams or in the form of shampoos, etc. Apart from that, the soaps can also be classified which is based on their usage. So, for example, as explained earlier, soaps can be used for washing the clothes, washing the face in the form of shampoos, etc. So, based on the type of the usage, the soaps are classified into laundry, cleaning, etc., which we are going to discuss one by one. So, when we take the laundry soap, these are a few examples which are depicted in this PPT, and they are generally used to eliminate the greasy matter, that is oily things or solid particles, etc., that is the washing the clothes. Here we call such soaps to be a laundry soap. So, and they can be either in the form of a liquid or a powder, or it can also be in the form of a gel. So, since they are mainly used for cleaning the cloth, we call such soaps to be the laundry soap. The next type is the cleaning soap. So, they have a slight different formulation. Apart from cleaning the grease or the dirty particles, but here the cleaning soap do not contain harsh abrasive which are there in the laundry soap. So a cleaning soap is the one which is formulated without any strong abrasive. We call them to be the cleaning soap. Next is personal soap. As everybody know, a soap is generally used for washing the face, the body washes, etc. And depending upon the personal requirement, we know very well in the market we have different type of personal soap. So during your marketing you would have observed a few soaps, nourishing purpose or antibacterial. So depending upon the requirement, a special formulations are done, and those soaps we call them to be personal soap. For example, one of the formulation may have antibacterial property, and these soaps can be used to prevent the bacteria or viruses. And other type of personal soaps can be, they can be used for rinsing the hair or washing the hair in the form of shampoos. So they will be having the ingredients which will clean the skin and the hair. So depending on the need, the personal soaps have special formulation. Next is novelty soap. So novelty soaps are the soaps which are used once again for washing the face, shampoos, etc. But here, in order to make much attractive, we can have the pictures of Mickey Mouse, duck, etc. Such type of the soaps we call them to be novelty soap. So for the marketing purpose or to make more attractive, we can the soaps can have the pictures of different forms which we call them to be novelty soap, which are exclusively manufactured for the kids with a impression of a figure. So apart from cleaning the soap, they also make the usage of the soap to be more enjoyable and more amusement, and we consider such soaps to be novelty soap. The next is a perfume soap. So, a few persons prefer a perfume in the soaps. So, during the manufacture of soap, they can add different type of ingredients which gives a different types of perfume. Such soaps which have a perfume as one of the ingredients, we call them to be perfume. So a soap with a rose perfume or any perfume, we call them to be perfume soap. And the next is beauty soap. So apart from the attractive fragrance, a few ingredients may be added to enhance the or to shoot the different types of the skin, or these such soaps we call them to be beauty soap. So generally in your advertisement we come across a few soaps. This makes your skin smoother or this makes your skin brighter. So their special ingredients will be added to make this skin in a better form. Apart from that, in order to show different variety of skins, we have the beauty soap, and they here contain the glycerin and also special oil blends. We call them to be the beauty soap. The next one is the medicated soap. So this toilet soap, when they contain the germicidal ingredients, which can be a carbolic acid and its derivative, we call them to be the medicated soap. So here in the soap preparation, small quantity of antiseptics and disinfectants are added, and this disinfectant or the antiseptic generally kills the germ from the exposed part of the body or wounds. And a few examples for medicated soap has been available: Dettol, Lifebuoy, Neem, Margot. Few examples for the medicated soap. Next is the glycerin soap. So when we have a glycerin moiety or the glycerin as one of the ingredient during the soap production, we consider them to be the glycerin soap. So the purpose of adding the glycerin is to make the skin more feel moisturized. So for better moisturizing, we generally employ the glycerin soap. The next type of the soap which we come across is the transparent soap. So generally most of the glycerin soaps are also transparent, and these transparent soaps are prepared by dissolving the soft soap along with small amount of glycerol in alcohol. So the insoluble portion is removed by filtration, and this solid transparent soap is obtained after we evaporate the alcohol. So this is one of a fancy. So when we use, we like to have a transparent, then we go for a transparent soap. So, but don't have a notion. Not all transparent soaps are glycerin soap. So, thus we are classified the soaps based on their chemical property, sodium or potassium, and also they're based on the usage. We have classified them into different classification depending on the need as well as the ingredients during the manufacturing. This is all about the definition of soaps and its classification, and these are the some of the references for this chapter. Thank you.